going on, Peekskill? What's going on? It's been a minute. Lee Caroline Brown here. It's been a minute since I've seen you, so I'm going to give you all a late Happy New Year. Hope everything is going well. A year ago, I had some news. As you can see, I got a new chemo haircut there, but I'm doing fine. So, we're going to talk about what's going on in Peekskill. About a month ago, I put a post up about the Sextigate at 2 Nelson Avenue, also known as Peekskill Police Department. Well, let's start it out like this. One of the commanding officer's secretary got caught on tape doing oral copulation, is that the word? On a police officer. Both of them now have been relieved of their duties. I understand the police officer resigned and the secretary has been fired. However, it's been brought to my attention allegedly that this has been going on in the department for a while and only came to light since it was caught on tape. This particular officer has not only been with this one particular woman, he's also targeted other police women on the force. Now, it's been brought to my attention allegedly that the 3 commanding officers at the police department knew about this. Knew that he was going around, they were having this affair. It was well known throughout the police department. Also, one in command called another civilian worker the H word. I'll just say ho. Now, I understand that was brought up to the city manager, who is our public commissioner. He's also the commissioner of public safety. That would be Matt Alexander. Now, this particular person was not fired. I understand he just got a slap on the wrist. And allegedly, there are lawsuits. Now, I think this particular person is filing a second lawsuit for sexual harassment and other things going on at Peekskill Police Department. So what's going on at Peekskill Police Department, and what's going on at City Hall that they're tolerating this type of behavior coming from commanding officers? Now, these officers eventually will be up for chief as well. I think all of them need to go. And I think that if it was anybody else, they would have been gone. If it was a different party in charge, they would have been gone, because the people would have demanded it. This party that's in charge would have demanded it, that these officers would have been let go. All of them. So, what's going on at Peekskill Police Department? Seems like a whole lot of Sextigate to me. I think that these lawsuits that are coming out are gonna be very telling. I think the officers involved, the ones in command and the ones that aren't in command that are in this behavior, should all be let go. We have enough issues going on in Peekskill without us having our own soap opera Sextigate down at 2 Nelson Avenue. So, Matt Alexander, do your job. Do your job. All right? We got a lot of things going on here today. We're going to have Elena Walker, who everybody knows, who comes to the meetings a while, who's now running for city council on the Republican line. So we're going to talk to her a few minutes, and she's going to tell us what she thinks that she brings to the table to the city of Peekskill. So we'll go with Elena. And Elena, welcome.
All right. I'm going under my maiden name. I'm of Hispanic origin.
Look at me.
I'm going under my maiden name. I'm going under Hispanic origin, which I am. It's Elena Muniz Walker, and that's how you'll find me on the ballot. I really think that it's time for a little bit of a change-up, as you said, in City Hall. I've been here since 1988. I want to say, you know, I'm a Peekskillian. My daughter, because of medical reasons, was born in the Bronx, but all she knows is Peekskill. So, you know, this is her hometown, as well as, you know, for many people that I lived here. I came here because of this beautiful, diverse community, this river town, this welcoming, you know, municipality. I got married here, you know, in Assumption Church. I think it's time for people to see another Hispanic person like myself, you know, who has the same core values as many who live here, and other people too, because I come from a very diverse family origin myself. And I think it's important that it's not just listening to certain people, which I guess that's the feeling I've been getting for the last couple of years. Everybody's just listening to one group of people. They're not listening to everybody. And if they're supposedly transparent or listening to the citizens, you can't tell people in a page that, well, if we gave people listen to all the people opinions, we wouldn't get stuff done, or calling someone lazy, or all of these things that I heard even on Monday night's meeting that was pretty shocking.
Okay, you know, I understand. I don't go for identity politics. I go for what you're going to bring to the community, all of the community. We're all the same when it comes to community and what needs to be done here. What do you see that you can do different? And your running mate, Garrett Dowd, who is unfortunately not here tonight, but what do you bring to the table,
I think I bring a little bit of an ear. Okay, I have a strong background in engineering, in doing community activities with children with disabilities. I have a lot of training and doing other charitable organizations here. And I've listened to a lot of people, parents, other parents. You know that I was involved with that case a few years ago, helping those parents with that young boy who took his life.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and that to me was very important because that family wasn't being listened to. And I remember going back to similar incidences with other families. And to me, that was very important. So being an ear to listen to people, to bring that diversity. I have a background in engineering and arts. I mean, I went to FIT. So all of these things about bringing the art studio and everything, I've applied to I don't know how many commissions because they keep talking about they would like to have somebody who's bilingual or multilingual to speak up. And my entire life has been that.
Well, enough with the commissions with me. They just appointed George Coniglio to the Human Relations Commission. And this is a guy, when Frank Catalina was running and took me down to Dunbar to get votes, said, oh, he took her around to get cheap votes. This is what this man said when he was on the Human Relations Commission, which got him kicked off the Human Relations Commissions. Now I see that he's on the Human Relations Commission.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked.
I'm concerned with the people that they're putting on these commissions or what their motives really are. They should put people on it that are loyal to the community. That's first and foremost to me. Anybody that's running for office or that's in office should be loyal to the community. Unfortunately, I don't see that now.
No.
How am I going to see that from you?
Well, you're going to see that from me because we have a city charter that specifically states that it should not be nepotism. It shouldn't be people from just one political party. It shouldn't be friends of friends. I mean, you see, there's really no mix-up between this group and that group and the people from the bid or the people from. It's just like a repeat. Well, we'll just shuffle it around. I mean, even when it's exposed that they had someone in there getting DRI money and they wanted to be a diversified woman, and then it wasn't. Then it was a person that, oh, let's just make it switch on paper to look like that. I mean, okay. It's just not, it's not. We have to have people from our community, and that to me is very important. And I'm not talking about a good representation of everybody, not just the same people just shuffling around.
Okay, well, I'm noticing that lately, in the last 8 years, at least in Peekskill. A lot of our elected officials are not Peekskillians. We have one here that just recently was the president of the bid, brought all of this pride. By the way, we've had pride in Peekskill before they even thought about bringing pride to Peekskill. We've had our gay community, our LGBTQ community, and some of these very same people that are in this party now, I remember they were very upset when the Republicans had an LGBTQ council person and talked about him terribly bad. And I remember those days. What I would like to see and ask from you now, they've taken the Youth Bureau, the Nutrition Center, and other things, and they've made them all one. They've taken the guy that's running the Nutrition Center, and they've made him in charge of the Youth Bureau. Now, the Youth Bureau created a job called the Executive Director of the Youth Bureau, which was Tuesday McDonald. Never had a title like that before. That was under the Rainey administration. Now, she's not the executive director, but this Jonathan, whatever his name is, from Samora, from the Nutrition Bureau, is taking over everything. He's taking over, he's bringing in the YMCA, and I don't understand that. He's going to take over the swim program. We've had Beth for 30 years teaching swimming through Parks and Recs. He's taken over Parks and Rec. We have a young man at Parks and Rec, Deontay Harris, who passed the supervisor test, who passed all of the tests that Kathy Montaldo, whether she passed them or had, and they have not given this young man this job yet. Would you go back to promoting within the city workers, promoting for these positions?
I really think there's a lot of good people here in the city who deserve that opportunity. You know, they started this civil servants exam and passing all of that, but then they're overpowering. You know, what happened to building up people from the same city who want to live here, who want to stay here? But it's just like it's pushing everybody out, and I don't think that's right.
Well, would you, so then I can get your commitment that you would, if elected.
We need to look at people in here.
We need to look at the people that have been here long term. We've got young men in DPW. We've got young men in the water department. We've got people that are qualified, have taken tests, and we're finding that some of them aren't even being tested, and they should be tested by rights. They should be
allowed,
given these tests so they can be promoted. I remember the mayor stating that this is what she was doing, promoting from within the city. I've not seen her do that.
No, I haven't seen it myself either.
I've not seen her do that. So would you encourage the rest of your council members to revert back to looking at our internal employees?
I think that's where you should be. You should really look internally. I mean, we're not that big a city that we can't find qualified people here
that are already working here for the city, by the way.
That are already working for the city. That's exactly that they can move up.
And that's long range. That's, like I said, from DPW to highway.
I mean, they give out awards for people in Peekskill that have done stuff in the community, but you're not moving it forward. You're going back historically, but not moving it forward. And to me, that's very sad.
I watched the award shows, and I just watched the Mondays nights award shows, and they gave out awards. That's just what they do. To me, awards are just useless pieces of paper. I mean, it makes you feel good. It's a happy, snappy, clappy stuff, but that's what this party's about. Happy, snappy, clappy. But our quality of life is a great big issue here. And then now the paper, this Peekskill Herald, was coming out with a somewhat police blotter, okay? But they're not telling it all.
No,
So there's a lot of things that are gonna come up to you. But I want you to tell us, and then I'll ask you some more questions later, what you got on hand for us. Talk to me.
I believe that, you know, the whole thing about the police blotter, I mean, all the communities have a really significant police blotter. They put out things and everything else. What are we doing? You get Matt Alexander, takes a few minutes on a committee meeting and talks about quality of life, but no specifics, no details, no nothing. We did this, we did that. It's not right. We need to know about crime and traffic accidents. We need to know about, not read it on News 12 before the city says anything about it, because then it exploded.
Well, News 12 doesn't really cover anything that goes on in Peekskill. Well, it makes me wonder. By the way, while we're here, News 12 did cover something. I am so pleased and happy that they found this Murphy young girl who was missing. I just think that the community was in an uproar and very scared for this young lady, because they put out she was missing, which made me think someone abducted her. You know, we've had a couple of stories where young ladies went missing and we found out they were runaways. Suffice it to say, she's been found, she's safe, and Peekskill police, from what they're saying, did all they could to locate this young lady, and they've done that. So I don't want to take that from the police. We have a lot of issues here in Peekskill that need to be addressed, and like one of them, I want to hear what you're going to address, what you bring to the table, what change you're going to bring to the table.
Well, this whole thing about building code violations and everything, right now we're running without an animal control For how long? That's another big thing that's happening around the city, abandoning of animals and stuff like that. It's a major concern. So are we filling in, like you said, internally, all of these positions? Are we watching them? Is the people really getting enough insight on what's happening? Because you get people that every day walk around the streets and they'll post and they'll take pictures and everything else, but it's like it's not being heard. Well, no, that's not really happening. It's Peekskill, the friendly town. There's nothing happening. We're concentrating on bringing, you know, people from outside and building our, you know, so that people will come here. Well, how can people come here if the people who live here don't feel safe?
Well, that's what I want to talk about, the housing. They're doing a lot of upscale housing. I watched the meeting when they asked on 400 Main Street they want to build a housing complex. And they were asked, will this be affordable, low income? And the guy, high rise, high society living. You know, it's not for me.
Yeah, it's
okay?
market rate.
It's market rate. And so that's bringing people that aren't from Peekskill, who is changing the landscape of Peekskill. These people are coming here and they're changing the landscapes. They're opening these little mom and pop stores, and then all of a sudden they know what's good for Peekskill. Okay, I've been coming to Peekskill all of my life. My older sister, who passed away at 89, so I'm 70. So I've been coming all of my life, and I've never seen anything like all of this happy, snappy, clappy stuff, but they're not really addressing what's going on, like our youth that are running rampant. We have this youth bureau, but the kids are on the street because they're not hiring the kids that were on the street before that have changed their lives and have done something with their lives, like a few young men I know here in town that have businesses, that are involved in businesses. These are the young people that I would like to see run for office and do things differently. I like to see a person like you to run for office. How can we encourage people to come to the meetings and get into these officials' faces and say, this is what we want, not what you want, not what you're shoving down our throat? How are you going to encourage these people to come to these meetings?
We got to make them feel welcome, not tell them, not sit in City Hall and say, oh, we're transparent, we're going to talk to you, but not let the voices. People come in there and they're afraid to speak because of retaliation. That's one of the things.
And the 3-minute rule.
And the 3-minute, oh yeah, the 3-minute rule.
Don't forget the 3-minute rule.
The 3-minute rule, and you know, I have to make sure that I don't time myself out when I talk.
Okay, so, watching Monday night's meeting, there was a big deal about the flea market. Okay, I heard some woman from Mayapack speak about how the flea market is good for us. Now, you're from Mayapack. Go to Mayapack and have a flea market. That's the way I feel. I'm not against the flea market, but I've noticed how it's grown and grown and grown and grown. Now, I had a campaign office on Bank Street a couple of years ago, and the stories of the garbage is absolutely true. Now it's expanded from one parking street to a parking lot that's adjacent to the Paramount over there. Now they want to take it and put it across the street from Seatown. My view is don't get rid of the flea market. Make sure they're selling non-new stuff and move it down to the river. What's your view?
Well, I agree with you. A lot of the businessmen that went around putting those signage out, they're not against the flea market. They're against the expansion of it that's gotten, like you said, so big that you got all these people coming from all over with new stuff. Someone wrote that the mayor said something about, oh, they have to be prepared for competition. That's not competition when you're not collecting taxes and everything. It's no longer a flea market the way we knew it to be. It's become a marketplace. So they should just advertise it as Peekskill Marketplace, because it definitely is not a flea market. Okay. The other thing, it should move. And the city has put in a free shuttle bus. So I don't see the issues if they move the flea market. They got a free shuttle bus and people want to go to the flea market. Well, they can ride around on the shuttle bus and go to wherever the flea market will be located.
And if people are coming from out of town, they can get off the train and it would be down at the river. I think that it should be down at the river in that area.
There's a lot of activity at the riverfront. I do not see. And it's just like that one businessman said, and he was speaking in Spanish, which wasn't properly translated. I have dumpsters. I pay private for dumpsters. My dumpsters get full on one of these days, and I not just pay for the dumpsters, I pay for the weight of what's in there.
Okay.
And that's what he was saying. It wasn't properly translated. Another woman said, I have a flea market table. My husband has a small business on Park Street. He has, and we do set up a small table at the flea market. But they're not selling. But she is saying that all of these tables have brand new items. So if we're a community that's for the small business, instead of having empty storefronts, why are we doing this to our business people in our downtown area? Why? Why expand it so much? To me, it's not a flea market. And I've been down there. It's like he said, there's no bathrooms. He said that they walk into his restaurant as if, well, don't even ask him or courtesy, can I use your restroom? They walk in like, this is the city's bathroom, so I can walk into your restaurant and use your bathroom. Just
so
like
you're in favor of the flea market being moved to another location, possibly the River or Charles Point or something?
Yeah, absolutely. There's not enough room. There's not enough parking. And they keep talking about building the infrastructure on the parking garage in James Street Garage to make it more friendly and more safe and whatever. They're going to expand it. Supposedly they had plans for expanding the flea market, the parking structure, but they build all this housing. So their expansion of the housing structure, from what I read and from what I know, is to rent those new spaces that they were building to these new building apartments that they're having. So how is that providing more parking for the people who are already complaining about parking?
Well, there's a parking issue now on 2nd Street. They all that live up on 2nd Street just got posted. So I think someone's going to post it on a local community network that there's no parking. There's absolutely no parking for the residents that are here. So now you have this flea market, and you've got all of these extra cars coming. I remember there were people in this particular party that were running around talking about environmental and emissions and all of that. So if they move it down to the river, I think all of that traffic with the cars and the exhaust and stuff, take it down to the river. That frees up the city. We can move around. It's hard getting out of the city without a flea market.
It is, and then you have a huge amount of parking. When that Peekskill brewery closed, you have a whole lot that hardly gets used. Okay?
Well, there's plenty of parking. There is
plenty on a riverfront. The other thing I have that is an issue, and they haven't made a decision on it, they keep bringing it up, to permanently close Esther Street. Why? That's another one that doesn't make any sense to me. Why is that permanently closed? It shouldn't be permanently closed. It should be like everything else. When they have seasonal time, okay, it's good weather, they close the street on the weekends. Why is that? And it's not. There are businesses that do not want that closed all the time. And that's why they can't make up their mind.
Well, I don't think that Esther Street should have been closed at all. Okay, it should not have been closed at all. We're already congested enough. Okay, that's another issue. I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to let you give me your issue, so what you want to do here.
Okay, so besides the marketplace, this new gazebo building, whatever they want to call it.
The flying saucers.
Yeah, the flying saucers. This is historic Peekskill. This is not France, Kathy Talbot. It's not. This is historic Peekskill, a quiet community. They used to do filming here because of our buildings and the way they looked, and can do some films here. We lost all of that. We have a Paramount here. This is a quiet bedroom. We have wonderful artists here, okay, that like to paint Peekskill for what it is, the structures, the building up all of this multiple housing and walkability and all of this and bike lanes. We don't have roads wide enough for it. And then they talked about the electric, they put a moratorium on the building of electric thing, which I think is a good thing. But we're not prepared. We don't have the structure. We're
the electric thing, you're talking about the battery storage.
Yeah, we're a small town. We're mostly water, everything running through us, and we have overflooding, and they're talking. Where is that going to be? So there's a lot of questions that I have. There's a lot of things that I think that are not being considered. I think they're pretty much listening to one side. And we have a city council that sits there and rubber stamps everything because somebody said it. And I don't think that's right. On top of that, they went over the tax cap, and all they cared about was, this is the third or the fourth time they gave themselves raises since COVID. I'm
not sure. I think it's the second or third time.
Yeah. Why? if they were so concerned about the tax, now they did something with the water meters. Okay, well, the DPW, they required us to put water meters in everything because they needed to keep track of water. They weren't charging water. They changed all these water meters. Now they're saying, well, they're not prepared to do anything above an inch. This is what I heard. So all these condos and everything, as these water meters that they inputted begin to fail, then the residences of these units or houses that require a water meter or attachment or connecting to the line, they're going to have to pay for it. You know very well that a lot of these developments and everything have people that are seniors, okay, on fixed incomes. So how much road? They talk about Con Edison, oh, we got to stop the rates, but then they do this.
Well, there was a gentleman, Robert Sullivan, I wish that I could have had him on, who was fighting this very issue. And I remember in 2017, he went to the council about this very same issue of these meters and stuff, and I thought it was resolved where he got it resolved. Now, this guy's an attorney, he knows his business, and it's a former candidate.
Yeah, well, he did have it resolved, but they switched.
But they switched it up.
The
If they
wording
didn't have it
around it-
resolved, they just danced them around. They kicked the can down the road.
That's
They
what
kept
they
kicking
did.
it, kicking it. Which means to me, I mean, I think the city manager that we have, I think what people need to do is a deep dive on what happened in Wapatus Falls with this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I honestly think that this guy is not good for Peekskill. I've seen a great decline in Peekskill, and he'll tell you anything you want to hear because I've dealt with him. And he'll tell me yes, 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 yes. He'll yes you to death and mean none of it.
Well, we know.
But I think this guy is not good for the city.
No.
And
now
I think, and I'm not sure if he's the city manager or if the mayor and the council are actually running this city. This is a city manager-run city. But I think that he's doing what they want him to do. I don't think that he's being run. Now, we've been through some city managers for various reasons. We've not had a solid city manager in the city of Peekskill for years.
Or now a city
Would
attorney
you
either.
encourage the new, or a city attorney, would you encourage the new council, should you be elected, to really look at a hardcore city manager that has some history of getting things done and improving their city that they're managing? Because for my money, Matt Alexander is just not it. Matt Alexander is one where they come to him with something and he's that snappy, clappy stuff, and it's okay. All right, so
I think we need to look deeply at things, and I don't think they've been looked at, and that's one I want to bring. So people need to talk, need to vote, and need to decide that if they want to change, that this is an opportunity to start that process.
yes, in order to move mountains, you have to chip away at the small stones. Okay,
Exactly.
so I'd like to hear more. Tell me more. Tell me more. Convince me that I want to pull that lever for you. Outside of us being friends doesn't mean I'll pull the lever for you.
No. I wouldn't want that from you either.
But just tell me, convince me. Convince the people out
So the
there
other
in
thing
TV
that
land.
that people did maybe not looked at, because it was talking about the building, and then they were talking about the flea market, is they missed that incident that happened too long ago where the buildings department came in to the restaurants and scared these people, and it was spoken about and everything else. That on Monday night's meeting, part of the public hearing was to raise fees for nuisance noise and everything on businesses and corporations in downtown. If you want to stop, and they said it was because they were not getting enough reaction, so they doubled and tripled these fees against other. So is that retaliatory? Are we going to get more empty storefronts?
Well, I don't understand, because I remember the city doing away with the nuisance and the loitering law. Have they reinstated that?
Oh yeah, and this.
When did they
public
reinstate
hearing.
it?
Well, I
They
don't know about
reinstated the nuisance and the loitering.
the noise, littering, and everything. They doubled and tripled the fines. That was on Monday night's hearing, and nobody really saw that. And I spoke about it.
Well, I find that to be a problem. I see a lot of people on Facebook complaining about this, that, and the other thing instead of coming up to the meetings. I used to come to the meetings. I've had some health issues. I stopped, but I'm back. So I'll be
Well,
back
that's
at
the
the
one
meetings.
thing that I need to encourage
But-
the people to do is
That's what we need to do now.
to do
Forget
now.
about an election.
Come to the meetings, listen, have your voice heard, because they will do whatever they want to do because no one says anything, because they think their voice doesn't matter, but it does. And I want to tell people that I have always spoken. I go quite often because I am a strong believer that my voice does matter. And people need to realize that their voice doesn't matter. Does matter.
I'm under the opinion of this. Would you be in favor of a moratorium on new developments in Peekskill, housing developments?
I think we've saturated that. I don't think that we need more. I mean, how many more blank spaces have we got? Well, they're going to start doing like they're doing in the Bronx in New York City, taking rows of family houses, tearing them down, buying lots, and building up multifamily. Is that what their plan is? You know, is that what they're going to do? Because that's the only thing that's next. Take up nice little neighborhood streets that we have, buy the homes, because constantly getting calls is your home for sale, because that's what they're doing. You used to have signs up down the street, we buy homes. Is that the next phase? Because what else is left?